Hey, yo, what's up, and welcome to Q&A, the first post-game Q&A of the year, where I take your questions directly about the game that just happened yesterday. Today, yeah, that'd be tagline. That'd be the tagline, right? First question comes from Clay Harmon, who says, "Hey Q, can we expect to see more of our tight end room?" I would hope so. Yeah, they weren't utilized at all. I mean, like Harrison Bryant was targeted a little bit more than David Njoku, but for whatever reason, David Njoku just didn't get the targets I was expecting he would get, especially in the red zone. We'll see if that gets cleaned up. Maybe that was an avoid Shaq Thompson thing, but I don't see why you would avoid Shaq Thompson that hard. So yeah, that's a little bit of now I want to say head scratcher, but it's a little bit of a point of intrigue, right? Where I'm like, hey, I'm interested in how this is going to adjust going forward with the team, and how, is this going to be the norm? Is David Njoku going to get 17 targets this year, or is this not going to be the norm and they're going to try different stuff week by week? So we'll see. Next question comes from John, who says, "What's the fix for the defense to stop choking leads? More creative blitz packages, less soft zone coverage." Y'all be killing me with how y'all talk about zone. I think DJ Moore's slant route that went for 20 yards when Ward was 12 yards off the line of scrimmage, plays like that are schematically unacceptable. Sure, we can say they're schematically unacceptable, but the fact is, a play like that DJ Moore play happens in every game for every defense every week, right? Every week, some fans complaining about that play. And the reason that play is able to happen is because they're running zone read, right? And they ran a good concept there against a good defense. Sometimes the offense is going to win the chess match, right? Sometimes they're going to call a good play against a good defense. Look, here's what happens, I think. They play a lot of zone. Zone takes a lot of discipline. And sometimes these zones get a little bit complex. Maybe you can argue more so than they need to be. And the coverage rules get forgotten for like a play and there's a blown coverage. But, 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 one thing I need to be absolutely clear on is, yes, were there blown coverages in this game? Sure. Have there been blown coverages with Joe Woods in the past? Absolutely. It's something I pointed out during the stream. But we can't act like that's the normal, because most of the time these coverages work. So whatever is going on, I don't think it's schematic, right? If it were schematic, it would happen during the entire game all season. It's not schematic. It's more or less what's going on with coverage rules to where they're getting forgotten at key moments later in games. Or is this a situation where maybe you want to simplify things down the stretch, or maybe they are simplifying things when they get ahead, and that's the problem? Could be a number of things. This stuff, and I know fans want an easy answer, this kind of stuff is just not diagnosable by watching all 22 tape. Like, I need to know the coverage rules. I need to know, like, we need to get somebody like Tyvis Powell on here to explain what happens in these situations, because he would have a better experience with this because he's actually played in this defense before with this set of rules. So, it's not the scheme. Everybody goes to the scheme. The scheme works. I mean, the scheme's the one tested thing in NFL, right? Every scheme in NFL that a team uses has worked at one point. It's about do you have the pieces to execute it? That's the question. And that's usually how you build teams. Sam Franklin with the question, KQ, what's going on with the miscues in the secondary? And he asks about Cade York. Oh, he says Cade York's reaction to the kick. My reaction to the kick was the same. I think it was a lot of people. I was excited. But yeah, what's going on with the miscues in the secondary? Again, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill because we're talking about 3 bad plays, right? It's unfortunate that all 3 of those bad plays got caught. Sometimes you just blow a coverage, nobody knows because the throw ain't made. Unfortunate for the Browns, they were all in the fourth quarter, like almost back to back to back, and everybody noticed. So I don't want to make too much out of this, right? This is not the Chargers game where, there were blown coverage every drive, right? Don't make this out to be that. And I think sometimes we run the risk of doing that because when we have discourse about football, whenever we have a criticism, we tend to get pushback, right? And this is kind of how, and I'm sorry, I'm going into a little side rant, but whenever you have a criticism about a football team, right, you will get pushback from people who don't want to hear any negative things about the football team that they love, right? Because they're kind of dogmatic about this thing. And this goes for every team, not just Browns fans. So then you get pushback on the criticism and you feel like they're trying to deny what you saw as reality, right? A real criticism. And that kind of forces people, I don't want to say forces, but kind of encourages people to go all the way with the take, right? So instead of it being, hey, man, those 3 plays were bad, somebody's going to push back. What are you talking about? That wasn't really that blown. And you're going to be like, no, it was terrible. And then those 3 plays become the whole game because we overblow it because we feel like we have to defend the fact that we witnessed this stuff because somebody's pushing back on it. We don't have to do that, though. Right. So I keep that in mind. Yeah, there were miscues, but that stuff really wasn't regular for this team. And I think, maybe they got some nerves. Maybe they were trying to be, maybe some individuals were trying to be aggressive in the moment and they blew a coverage. Or maybe they just, they went up by 10 and thought right? And, they learned a lesson there. All right. Praise the Sun says, hey, Q, how's it going? Just wondering, what are your thoughts on DPJ's performance? He was making some hard contested catches. I thought he showed a good step in his development. Thanks. Yeah, I thought DPJ played really well. He was really more of a possession guy than I anticipated, right? Didn't really make any of the explosive plays that we've been kind of like touting Donovan Peoples-Jones, but he really just made the 7-yard. It was like Willie Snead-esque. Right? Remember when Willie Snead would just always beat her 3rd and 5 for the Ravens? It's kind of what Donovan Peoples-Jones was. That's what you want out of a number 2 receiver, right? We got Amari Cooper to make the big plays. We need you on 3rd down, DPJ, to make a clutch play. So, yeah, Donovan Peoples-Jones played really well. I think the wide receivers as a whole, as much garbage as, well, not garbage, but as much trash as they got talked to them coming into this game, they're pretty good. Pee-wee's Brownie Elf says, do you think this is a more meaningful game than normal? Or this was a more meaningful game than normal? All the negativity, the whole nation. All right, man, we doing too much. The whole nation against you. And this being Baker's Super Bowl to still pull off a win is impressive. How much credit do you think Stefanski deserves? Okay. Again, this is kind of what I mean by we tend to go all the way. This was a more meaningful game than normal. We don't gotta add more to that, right? We don't gotta make that. Sometimes we overseason it, right? We don't gotta season it that much. It was a more meaningful game than normal because you have the former long-term quarterback of this team coming back to play them right after they traded him. That's why this was a more meaningful game than normal, right? This is going to be talked about nationally more often. It's the first game. The Browns never won it, and it's one of them Groundhog Day tests for the fans, right? Where we're like, oh, are we going to be the same old Browns or are we going to be different? Well, we win week 1, we'll be different. So week 1 is always going to be a more meaningful game than normal. You add the complexities of Baker Mayfield on top of that. And yeah, man, it was, I would say it was an impressive showing on the road. And I think people have forgot this was a road game, and it's kind of impressive that they won their first opening week game on the road. And this is impressive for Kevin Stefanski for a couple standpoints because I felt like he coached a pretty good game. I feel like he called a pretty good game. There's going to be some negative questions about Kevin. I just don't understand him after today's game, after Sunday's game. I thought Kevin was pretty impressive here. I think he made some really smart moves, kept his composure in some critical situations, and I think the team followed suit, right? There's a reason why this team was just chilling, down 2 points with a minute 20, and that's because of the leadership on the sideline, in part, right? There's a lot of just chill, calm dudes on that sideline that did not panic, and that's been a difference, right? That's been a difference. The next question comes from Isaac Link, who says, I see people complaining about the offense, but will the Browns average more than 26 points a game this year? I didn't get the criticism about the offense. I get that it's not the prettiest thing to watch, but again, people told you this was going to be the case. But people have been really like that wanted to be critical have been really relentless about the Browns leaving 14 points on the board. I mean, did you expect this team to score 40 points on the road with Jacoby Brissette? Because that's what you were saying. If the Browns left 14 points on the board and they put up 26, that's 40 points. I don't know why people's expectations or why people have it in their mind right now that like the Browns are going to put up 40. Like we all came into the season knowing 40 is not going to be a good place for us to be. It's nice if you could put up 40, but 26 is where we wanted to. We wanted to be above 20. If they can average 26 a game this season, throughout the 11 games that Jacoby's out there, they are likely going to get to 5 or 6 wins, maybe even 7. So that's the point you want to be at. Again, a lot of complaints about the offense today. I don't understand it. I felt like the offense did everything they should have in this game. And ultimately put the special teams in a position to bail the defense out for what was a atrocious couple of plays in the fourth quarter. You know, I don't get the criticism on the offense, but again, there's going to be more about that. Hey, Q, love the channel. If Brissette continues to play subpar, missing open receivers and such, how long of a leash do you have? See, I don't get this. I appreciate the question, Rob, but I don't get this. I don't think Jacoby Brissette played at a subpar level. Did Jacoby Brissette miss some throws? Sure. Absolutely. He missed throws. But quarterbacks just miss throws sometimes. Right? I feel like for whatever reason, we're almost judging Jacoby on a harsher scale than what we judge the last quarterback here, who people hope would be a franchise quarterback here. And Jacoby Brissette, he is 100% transitional, right? I don't know why the standard is so high, right? Him missing a couple of throws is not playing at a subpar level when he played well enough to win the game, well enough to get the team into winning field goal position, well enough to get points at the end of the second half, well enough to continue to get points once Baker Mayfield was able to score. It's not like the Browns went scoreless in any of these quarters. I don't believe so. So I don't get the heavy-handed criticism of Jacoby Brissette sometimes it does feel like people are going out their way to talk about how bad Jacoby Brissette was and how bad those missed throws were. And I don't know if this is people like getting into Jimmy Garoppolo, whatever they wanted Jimmy Garoppolo, so they're going to take it out on Jacoby Brissette. It feels like some of that's there, but even Jim Donovan, I was listening to him. I was shocked to hear this because he just immediately came out, Jacoby Brissette, not good. I'm like, dog, he just had a game-winning drive. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? You know, usually we give credit to quarterbacks, even if they play poorly, which he did not play poorly, and get a game-winning drive because we say the moxie to come back and the toughness to battle back mentally after. But Jacoby Brissette, it's like it didn't happen. I was watching a Brandon Perna video, right? That's Good Sports. It was a terrible video. Like, I'm not going to say Brandon's terrible, but his coverage of this team has been terrible. And, you know, if you're a fan of his stuff, like, I'm not going to stop you from doing it. I'm just giving my opinion on the video I saw. It was a 5-minute video. It was in my opinion, a poor video just because it seemed like it was done with such little effort, energy, and care to actually cover what happened. And it was just like he wanted to get his little jokes off, right? And, you know, if you thought the jokes were funny, cool on you. But even then, like, there was this weird thing where, like, he goes to the pass interference, the roughing the passer penalty, and then cuts the highlights straight to the 58-yard field goal as if that penalty put the Browns in position to kick that field goal, when in reality, that penalty just took the Browns from, the 20 to the 35? And then Jacoby got him in the field goal range with 2 clutch throws. The erasure of those 2 throws has been weird. It has been absolutely weird. And not saying that there aren't people who are supporting Jacoby Brissette in this, and there are probably people going over the top with Jacoby Brissette. Obviously, this is how these things go. People kind of lose their mind either way with it. But it has seemed like people who are credentialed, people who actually have a say, not just fans, are almost going out of their way to paint this narrative that Jacoby Brissette was terrible in this game. And the tape does not indicate that. He had about 3 or 4 clutch third down drives on scoring drives. On third down plays on scoring drives. Jacoby Brissette wasn't great, but he was not terrible, and he was I would say he was good. Good. Like C+, B-. But that's not how anybody reacted to it. And it's been one of those things I found weird, the reaction to Brissette. In the offseason, I felt like the reaction was weird. And after this game, I felt like the reaction was weird with Brissette. I don't know what it's about. I'm not going to give any theories, but that's been one. That's been one that's weird to watch. Even Browns fans, Browns media members, people who work for the Browns doing that. That's weird. You know, and even the Jimmy Garoppolo stuff during the offseason, I felt like, okay, it's okay to evaluate it, but the relentlessness of people to keep pushing Jimmy Garoppolo, even when the Browns made it clear that they weren't going to go that route, again, made it weird. Like, I don't think people have anything personally against Jacoby Brissette, but it feels like they have such a weird distaste of him as a quarterback that they're not even giving him a fair shot. They're not even criticizing him fairly. And I don't think he's been critiqued fairly by some people. And again, some fans are gonna be unfair, some fans are gonna be overly fair. I'm not really talking about what y'all are saying on Twitter. I'm saying some of the reaction from people who should know better than to do this, it has been kind of questionable and head scratching to me. And I've noticed it. And it's not just been today. It's been since Jacoby Brissette was signed in March. The reaction's been weird from some people. Jim Kipp says, is Kevin's risky play calling going to cost us games? I feel like the chances he takes are shaving years off of life. Hey, I'm not one of these people who want to punt all the time or kick the field goal all the time. I like that Kevin goes for it. God can't play scared and expect to win games all the time. Can't do it. You got to play with some moxie. I like it. I've watched, and maybe this is a new Browns versus old Browns thing, but like for me, watching nothing but expansion era Browns where they would play it overly safe all the time. Every coach played it overly safe, even when the team was garbage. I like that. Even when the team's not trash with the coach like Kevin Stefanski, he's willing to go for it on 4th and 1. He's willing to take a chance. I like that. I like that about Kevin. I understand if you don't, but I like that about him. I think it wins you more games than it ends up losing you games. But that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.